Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. This is
Joe Knows Movies. This is my Gretel and Hansel review. All right, when I saw the trailers for this movie, which was like 6-8 months ago, it was forever. The trailer came on once out of all these films that we see every single week, and boom, just one time. And I just remember it was all dark, and it just seemed like this weird thing where they changed the name to Gretel and Hansel instead of Hansel and Gretel, and they're not twins anymore. This is the older sister and the younger son, younger brother, and there's nothing. It just seemed weird. It felt like it was like this trendy thing that they were doing, where it was like this women's empowerment thing. Now maybe that's just coming from a dude, and it just seems that way because I see the changes coming around, which I'm mostly fine with if they do it right. But when it feels forced, that's when I got a problem with it. So my first impression with the trailer was that this is some kind of forced women's empowerment thing where, it can't be Hansel and Gretel because his name's first. Oh, no. It's got to be Gretel and Hansel. So I jumped to assumptions on that one. And that's just how I am. Whatever. I think I was wrong this time because after seeing this movie, and then I read an article with an interview with the director, whose name is Oz Perkins, who's the son of Anthony Perkins, by the way, if anyone knows who that is, Mr. Norman Bates. When I read the article where the director, he pretty much describes what the main reason for why he changed it was. He wanted to see a difference in dynamic where, the sister's older and she's dealing with things different than the son, the younger brother's dealing with. And it's about the main premise of the film, I guess. The main purpose of it is to show how things from the past can hold you back from like things that you're comfortable with, things that you're, like even family and loved ones, things like that. How sometimes that can hold you back from achieving your true destiny and things like that. Sometimes we hurt ourselves by staying in our comfort zones. Kind of that's the gist of what I got from it. So okay, I took that in and I looked at it a little bit differently, and we went and saw the movie. Okay, we saw the movie, and I was actually, from the first scene, visually, I was impressed. I was actually really impressed. I thought, okay, they're introducing this with this cool witch story. The visual effects don't look that bad. You can see the CG in a couple little spots, but it's not. It doesn't hurt it. It doesn't hurt it at all. I was fine with it. I'm good. I'm on board. I'm like, okay, this is moody. It's dark. It feels creepy. Okay, let's see how this goes. So the movie starts to go, and then you start, after it does a little intro story, you get to the two characters. You get Gretel and Hansel, and they're living with their mother who's going freaking crazy, and Gretel has to go meet this lord and join up for work or something like that. And of course the guy is a pervert, and at first he just looks like a pervert, but then after just a few sentences, he starts asking her personal questions about herself. And, it just makes the mood even more creepier than already how the set design and the lighting and everything has already done it. And it's like, God, okay, this is what she's going through. And I remember there was this part. This is also what fell into the women's, empowerment trend. This is what fell into me for this moment as well, was when she starts talking about the way the system is around there, the way women are treated, he shuts her up. And you can tell that she's very intelligent and very smart. And so my first thought was, okay, they're making her way too smart in this time period that it's set in to be believable as this character. From what I've learned about the way women have been treated for a long time, things like that, it just seemed like maybe they're making her way smarter than she would be from that time period. But as throughout the film, I got the gist of it. Well, you know what? She's actually she's evolved in a way. She's more advanced. That's why she's got these she's in tune to certain things that are going around in nature, and then she's more in tune to what the witch is trying to do to her, which we'll get into in a little bit. So she is on another level because she's more in tune with the world and with nature and everything else that she just hasn't broken through yet. It's kind of like, I don't know, like a Padawan learner or something. So I abandoned all those thoughts after all that shit, and I just tried to watch this character. All right, and the character is that girl that she was the what was her name? Beverly. She played Beverly Marsh in It, and her the actress's name is Sophia Lillis. So Sophia Lillis, she is from It, of course. It Chapter 1 and 2. She played Beverly Marsh, the young Beverly Marsh. And she plays Gretel in this movie. And she's good. She's a good actress. But here's where it goes into the problems with the movie. It goes into the two biggest problems: the story writing and the pacing. Those are the things that keep this movie from being actually great, because this movie has a lot of things, in my opinion, that are great about it. The detrimental things are, for one, the pacing. Okay, this movie is only 87 minutes long with credits. All right. It feels like it's over 2 hours long. When this movie ended and then we're in the parking lot talking, I'm looking at my clock on my phone and I'm like, wait a minute. We've been out here talking for like a half an hour and it's only this time? That means that movie I was like, holy crap. That movie felt like it was over 2 hours long. It felt really long. And the reason why the movie feels long is because for a few reasons. All right. There are these camera shots that the movie will do where these long takes where someone's walking into this room and the camera's slowly panning back or slowly panning forward. And it's done for a dramatic effect and it's effective. The problem is it lingers on it for too goddamn long. I mean, there's like some shots that I think are for over a minute, 2 minutes, and an 87-minute movie with credits included, you're taking away from other elements that are important for the film. Okay, like character development. There is barely any character development in this film. There's just characters reacting to a moment that they're in. They get driven away from their crazy mother who just starts going wild and crazy. And then they get caught up in this witch nonsense. Okay. It's very fast and it's confusing. It's confusing because like, why is this happening to them? Who's this person? Why are they doing this? And what I'm thinking is, and I'm pretty sure of this, besides the short runtime, I think that a lot of scenes were cut down for whatever reasons. Okay. Maybe for budgetary reasons, because this movie only has a $5 million budget. But I think that also there was a lot of scenes that were cut out because there's like a character who shows up in the movie who's called the Hunter. And he's a good character, but he's only in about 2 minutes of the film. And then he's never mentioned or seen again. But his character leads them in the direction of where the witch is at. So what I'm thinking is if there was extended scenes or deleted scenes, they would show that his character might have been actually the witch in disguise, leading them in the direction of herself, of her home, of her cottage, or whatever house you want to call it. So I'm thinking that that's probably why that character did what he did, because he seemed genuine and as a good person. And I think that was to trick them because they were already not trusting anybody. Going into the things that work about this movie, work really, really well, is the camera work is great. There's some camera angles and shots and speeds at times that are different. Like there's a scene where they eat some mushrooms and they get high as hell. And it's a really cool scene. The music that goes along with it and the way the camera's in their faces, and it adds to the weirdness and the creepiness of the scene. But the scene is like, boom, it's really quick. I think the scene of them acid tripping is like for maybe a minute and a half. It's really, really short. But it was interesting to see that because this movie it adds into the fear that this film has. And there's a lot of times where I thought this movie was rated R. I really did. I was like, this is a rated R type movie, but it's not. It's PG-13. There's some gore in it, but the gore is always like when they do show some gore, it's in a darkly lit room. So you don't see it as detailed. There's no profanity. There's no sex. There's just a hint at sex at the beginning with that pervert Lord guy. But that's it. There's no like actual, that I can recall, there's no actual like stabbing or beheadings or anything like that. So there's no like real R-rated stuff, I guess, but it still felt like it because it's so creepy and the makeup on these characters, the makeup is really, really good. And all of this stuff is surprising because even the visual effects, there's some CG used here and there, but it's never, I don't recall it ever being bad. It ever being, like a bad idea that they use a little bit of CG here and there. But the fact that this movie was done on a $5 million budget, it's amazing. This movie looks great, but I think it also adds to limitations because they filmed a lot of scenes in the same spots. But hey, they also filmed Ex Machina for like $15 million. And they filmed almost all of that inside of I think it was like a Swedish hotel or something like that. It was all futuristic looking. But you do what it seems like with low budget films, you get a lot more creativity out of it. And because you have this budget restraint. So more creation comes out of it, you know. That's why the first Deadpool is a better movie than the second Deadpool, because they had to work with what they had on a $50 million budget, which is nothing to scoff at. But when you had, what was it, like $125 million, I think, for Deadpool 2? Deadpool 2, they just got to let loose whatever they wanted to do. But with Deadpool, the first Deadpool, they had to think about it, you know, and work things out better and make things fit. And so with movies like Ex Machina and with this one, with Gretel and Hansel, you can see that the more creativity came out. The problem is that in visual design and camera work and all the other shit, great creativity. But then where's the creativity when it came to the script? Okay? When it came to the story. That's the biggest problem that hurts this film for me, is that I don't care about the characters. I didn't care about little Hansel, okay, who just gets to say a few little kid things here and there. I didn't even really care about Gretel. There's nothing really about her to delve into their lives at all, to really care about them, okay? Actually, in a way, I cared more about the witch because it was showing a lot of her backstory when she was younger, and it was showing, you know, now you see her as this old woman who, of course, you know she's the witch. You know that even though she's acting all cordial and she's, you know, taking these kids in and feeding them and housing them and trying to mentor them, that, you know there's an ulterior motive, because if anyone who knows about the story of Hansel and Gretel, they know the way that this is going to go. So, okay, no, she's going to turn up bad. But Alice Krige, who plays her, who anyone who knows the Borg Queen from Star Trek Generation, or Star Trek First Contact, and from Voyager in the later seasons, she played the Borg Queen as well. She's excellent. She's always excellent. She is a seasoned actress. She's great in everything she's in, and when she plays the witch, she's always quiet. I don't think she screamed once in the entire film, except maybe when she was on fire. So she very, very menacing, creepy as hell, while she's also just being quiet. But here's another problem, though. The dialogue. Dialogue is bad in this movie because a lot of times it feels like conversations that are going along, they feel like they're being done in riddle, or like it's like a poem that's being read. And I get that it's trying to grab like some of the essence from the Grimm fairy tale, but it's just taking away from actual story, you know, and character development by doing it this way. And that really bugged me. And this adds into the pacing as well. There's a lot of scenes where they're talking and there's like these long pauses, you know, which can at times be effective because you're like trying to wonder what's going on in their heads and stuff. But the problem is that the pacing, it just kills it, right? And then another thing is that almost the entire film feels like it's in a dreamlike sequence, a dreamlike state. So it's hard to tell what's really going on and what is the dream, what is the hallucination, what is the fantasy. And I know that it was used so that the audience feels like how Gretel feels, because this movie is Gretel's movie. This is not Gretel and Hansel's movie. This is Gretel's movie. Hansel's just tagging along to be a little kid. All right. But it was hard to, know what was really going on at times with the film. So that I think that was detrimental to part of it. So the musical score is another thing I really liked about the movie. Okay. It accompanied the scenes well. It was different. There's a little bit of an electronica tone to some of it. I listened to the whole soundtrack while I was writing the review for this. And yeah, there's a lot of times where it's like, it tries to capture like old folksy scary sounds, but it also implements these subtle little electronica type sounds that I really like. I've always been a fan of electronica and that type of stuff. Not dubstep. Dubstep's like electronica on meth or something. But yeah, anyway, I love the musical score from this. It was really, really good, and it pulled me into the movie more. It's done by a French composer whose name is Robin Codell, which his stage name is just Rob. They all call him Rob. So yeah, you might want to look up some of his stuff. Listen to the soundtrack for the movie, actually. It's on YouTube. It's available for Gretel and Hansel. All right. So I had fun with this movie. I was surprised. I walked into this thinking it was going to be a complete piece of shit, a waste of time, especially when I wanted to go see the rhythm section with Blake Lively and Jude Law, which apparently everyone says the movie is slow, it is boring, it is depressing, it is just a complete waste of time. So I'm actually glad that my buddy Mike loves fairy tales, because he wanted to see this because he thought it was going to be a piece of shit as well. And so I was like, you know what? If it sucks, it sucks. But at least you know. So went and saw this. I do not regret seeing this movie. And my recommendation is this. If you have a short attention span and you only like going and seeing things like Michael Bay's Transformers, like The Last Night, where it's just constant explosions, or the Lego Movie Part 2, or things like that, where you're constantly being distracted by bright lights and loud booms and just fast dialogue, do not see Gretel and Hansel, because you will not enjoy this movie. You won't. You will probably walk out way before it's over. Now, if you are someone that actually appreciates art and context, if you appreciate the context of how this movie's made, with the low budget, with the art direction, the production design, the set design, the visual effects, the musical score, the cinematography, all of that stuff, the makeup, you take all that stuff into account. And this is a visual feast. I loved it. I love the visual feast. I felt like it made me feel like Halloween. Okay, not Michael Myers Halloween, but just the season Halloween. That's what it captured. This movie should have came out in October, by the way. Definitely should have. Even though, they exiled it to the January curse month, right? So whatever. Gretel and Hansel is worth seeing if you like visual and you like visual storytelling and all that stuff. Just remember, have some reservations about the story. There's nothing that's going to be illuminating in story-wise. There's not going to be this deep connection with the characters, I don't think. I mean, someone might have a deeper connection with Gretel than I did, but I didn't connect with her character very well at all, because I think her character was very poorly written and there could have been a lot more meat to the bone. And lastly, I don't think I saw one goddamn breadcrumb in this whole freaking movie. There's supposed to be a breadcrumb trail. I didn't see that shit. Okay. What about the attention to detail? God damn it. Where is that shit? All right. That's all I got. That's just your opinion. I'm done.